The legal documents hit the public record like a sledgehammer, and the fallout is still spreading across Hollywood. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, the golden couple who seemed completely untouchable, are suddenly facing a $2 million debt scandal that nobody saw coming. Multiple contractors have stepped forward, claiming they were stiffed for extensive work on the couple's massive New York estate. This isn't just a minor accounting error or a simple misunderstanding. It's a full-blown legal war that's exposing deep cracks in their carefully curated fairy tale. The dream of a private sanctuary has officially turned into a public relations disaster that even Ryan's legendary charm might not be able to fix. Blake clearly believed she was building a fortress of solitude where the normal rules of society didn't apply. She envisioned a world of cashmere and quiet, far away from the prying eyes of the public and the noise of the city. In her mind, the New York property was supposed to be a private kingdom where no one within a 10-mile radius could disturb her family, but that obsession with isolation is exactly what's coming back to haunt her now. During a planning board meeting, she didn't talk about joining a community. She focused entirely on staying away from it. That desire for distance has now transformed into a very loud, very public dispute over millions of dollars. We aren't talking about a few $1,000s for some basic landscaping or a quick paint job. We are talking about over $2 million in unpaid contractor claims that have been filed as formal mechanics liens. When multiple independent companies all take the drastic step of filing a lien against a property, it means the conversation has completely broken down. A lien is a serious legal move that attaches directly to the home's title, making the dispute a permanent part of the public record for everyone to see. It's the ultimate red flag in the world of luxury real estate, signaling that something has gone terribly wrong behind those expensive custom-built gates. The project itself is staggering in its scope and ambition. This wasn't a simple kitchen renovation. It was the full-scale construction of a luxury compound featuring multiple massive structures. The estate includes a giant main residence, a separate gym building, a pool house, and high-tech geothermal systems designed for total self-sufficiency. The level of detail involved is insane, featuring custom copper roofing, complex steel framing, and intricate drainage systems. Every single inch of this property was designed for extreme luxury and high-level customization, which makes the allegations of missing payments even more shocking to an audience that sees the couple as endlessly wealthy. One of the most notable claims involves a company called Flower Construction, which reportedly handled the heavy lifting for the entire build. They weren't just doing small, odd jobs. Their involvement covered everything from framing and HVAC systems to electrical work, masonry, and high-end millwork across the estate. When a company with that much responsibility files a major lien, it suggests a total collapse of the financial agreement between the owners and the builders. This wasn't a minor disagreement over a single invoice. It was a breakdown of a massive construction operation. It raises the question of how a project this size could spiral so far out of control. For years, Blake and Ryan have been the ultimate it couple of the social media era. They've built a massive brand on being relatable, funny, and effortlessly successful. But a $2 million debt scandal introduces a narrative that is the exact opposite of that polished image. It suggests a level of chaos and financial friction that doesn't fit the perfect life they've projected to their millions of followers. Suddenly, the jokes and the red carpet glamour are being overshadowed by legal filings and disgruntled workers. The public is starting to wonder if the polished exterior was just a mask for a much messier reality that involves lawyers and unpaid bills. Things reportedly took a turn for the worse in early 2026 when construction on the massive project apparently ground to a halt. If work stops while millions are still allegedly owed, it's a clear sign that tensions behind the scenes have reached a total boiling point. Construction disputes of this magnitude involve layers of lawyers, endless custom change orders, and intense pressure from every side. What was originally supposed to be a dream home has likely become a source of immense emotional and legal stress for everyone involved. You have to wonder how much peace is actually left in a sanctuary that's currently sitting at the center of a multi-million-dollar legal battle. The irony of the situation is that Blake was incredibly vocal about her excitement for this project from the very beginning. She spoke to the planning board about creating a family sanctuary where they could finally escape the Hollywood spotlight and live a quiet life. She painted a picture of a romantic escape surrounded by nature and family, but those early quotes are now being used to highlight the massive contrast between her vision and the current reality. The sanctuary is now a construction site littered with legal notices and unpaid invoices, and the public is watching every single move they make with a much more skeptical eye than ever before. Once a celebrity's reputation starts to shift, every older interview and public comment gets re-examined through a much more critical lens. Blake is currently in that dangerous phase where the audience is looking at her past behavior with suspicion. Moments that once seemed charming or aspirational are now being reframed by critics as elitist or out of touch. The internet doesn't just forget, it recontextualizes everything. People are now connecting the dots between her desire for extreme isolation and the allegations that the workers building that privacy haven't been paid. The narrative is changing from private family to disconnected elites. What really stings for the public is the sheer level of excess involved in the build. The descriptions of the estate include highly specialized infrastructure like geothermal energy and copper roofing alongside intense interior design work. It's the kind of project that screams limitless wealth at every turn. When that level of spending is paired with reports of contractors waiting on massive payments, it creates a very ugly look for the couple. It's hard for the average person to feel sympathy for celebrities building a copper-roofed gym while small business owners are fighting for their checks in court. The contrast between the luxury and the debt is too sharp to ignore. Usually, Ryan Reynolds is the undisputed master of celebrity damage control. His sarcasm and self-deprecating humor have saved the couple from PR blunders many times in the past, but this time, the jokes don't seem to be landing with the same impact. There's only so much Deadpool humor you can use to deflect from a $2 million debt and legal claims from working professionals. People are starting to see the sarcasm as a defensive shield rather than a genuine personality trait. The skepticism is growing, and even his most loyal fans are beginning to question how much of his nice guy persona is actually authentic when things get difficult behind the scenes. Major outlets like the Daily Mail have jumped on this story, framing it as a cautionary tale of Hollywood wealth and isolation. They are painting a picture of chaos hidden behind luxury gates, and the narrative is sticking with the general public. The fact that no official lien releases have been filed in the public record yet only adds more fuel to the fire. If these disputes had been settled quietly months ago, the story would have died by now. Instead, the public record shows that these claims are still open and unresolved, which keeps the speculation alive and well. The longer it stays unresolved, the worse it looks for their carefully managed brands. Some people are theorizing that there might be actual financial strain, but that doesn't quite add up with their history. Ryan Reynolds has had massive business wins with Aviation Gin and Mint Mobile, netting him hundreds of millions of dollars in recent years. This likely isn't a case of not having the money in a literal sense. Instead, it points to a much more complicated issue: the power dynamic between ultra-wealthy clients and their contractors. Sometimes, the bigger the celebrity, the harder they negotiate, and sometimes those negotiations turn into scorched earth legal battles. This isn't about a lack of funds, it's about a total breakdown in business ethics. It's almost comical to imagine the atmosphere on that property while the legal battle was heating up behind the scenes. You have Blake trying to maintain a perfectly curated aesthetic, likely picking out high-end linens and mood lighting, while contractors are reportedly filing legal claims for millions of dollars in the background. It's a bizarre and uncomfortable contrast, talking about the energy of a meditation corridor while the people who actually built the walls are wondering when they'll be able to pay their own bills. This disconnect is exactly why the internet has turned so sharply against the couple's previously relatable and fun image. Social media is a brutal place when the tide of public opinion turns. Clips of Blake's old interviews are resurfacing daily, and viewers are now calling her smug instead of elegant. The way she speaks about her lifestyle is being scrutinized like never before in her career. People are tired of the effortless luxury act when they see the massive amount of effort and the alleged unpaid labor that actually goes into creating it. This is how a celebrity brand dies, not all at once, but through a series of revelations that make the star seem increasingly disconnected from the reality of the working class people who support their career. There's a recurring pattern with celebrity mega mansions that people are starting to notice. These massive multi-million-dollar projects often become magnets for negativity, whether it's lawsuits, neighborhood feuds, or contractor disputes. It seems the more elaborate the private estate becomes, the more complicated and messy the story surrounding it turns into. In Blake and Ryan's case, the purchase of surrounding land to create a buffer zone was the first sign of trouble. To some, it looked like a family seeking peace. To others, it looked like a couple building a fortress to keep the ordinary people as far away as possible from their kingdom. While they maintain a united front in public, you can bet that the industry in Hollywood is buzzing about this. The entertainment industry thrives on these kinds of stories because reputation is the only currency that really matters. Behind closed doors, other celebrities and agents are likely watching this unfold with a mix of fascination and genuine fear. If a couple as untouchable and well-liked as Blake and Ryan can get dragged into a public debt scandal of this scale, it means no one is truly safe. The silence from their famous peers is deafening, and it suggests that this situation might be even messier than what has been made public so far. Timing is everything in a celebrity scandal, and the timing here couldn't be worse. Right now, public sensitivity toward extreme wealth is at an all-time high globally. People are struggling with inflation and housing costs, so hearing about a celebrity couple struggling to pay $2 million for their third or fourth luxury building hits a very specific nerve. What might have been dismissed as a routine business dispute 10 years ago is now seen as a major moral failing. The internet amplifies these feelings of resentment, turning a simple construction delay into a symbol of everything people dislike about the ultra-rich and their perceived lack of accountability. Once the memes start, the battle for a serious, polished reputation is usually over for good. People are already making jokes online about Blake trying to pay her contractors in gin gift baskets or sarcastic tweets from her husband. While it might seem harmless, this kind of mockery strips away the prestige that they've worked so hard to build over the last decade. They are no longer the aspirational icons of Hollywood. They've become characters in a drama that the public finds entertaining for all the wrong reasons. Once you become a joke in the eyes of the internet, it's incredibly hard to go back to being a respected lifestyle mogul. Blake and Ryan are known for being extremely strategic about every single aspect of their public image. Every post, every joke, and every outfit is usually calculated for maximum positive impact on their audience. This debt scandal is a massive failure in that long-term strategy. It's an unforced error that has allowed the public to see behind the curtain of their perfect life. When a couple that prides themselves on total control loses control of their own narrative in such a public way, it suggests that the issues might be too big for even their high-priced PR teams to handle. The cracks in the foundation are finally showing. The phrase, "the neighbors will never see us," has become a rallying cry for their critics online. It perfectly summarizes the elitist undertone that many people are now sensing from the couple's recent behavior. Even if the comment was originally meant to describe a desire for privacy for their young children, it's being interpreted now as a desire to be superior to everyone else. When you combine that better-than-you attitude with allegations of stiffing the workers who are literally building your walls, you have a recipe for a total public relations meltdown. This is a level of backlash that could take years for them to fully recover from. As of right now, there is no public evidence that these multi-million-dollar liens have been cleared or settled. That means the conflict is very much ongoing and unresolved. For every day those legal filings remain active in the record, the story stays alive in the headlines. Every time a curious fan or reporter looks up the property records, they see the names of companies still waiting for their money. It's a ticking time bomb for their personal brands. If they don't resolve this soon, the scandal label will become a permanent part of their legacy, overshadowing their movies, their businesses, and their carefully crafted family image forever. Ultimately, this isn't just about a house or a few $1,000,000 in unpaid bills. It's a case study in how quickly the pedestal of celebrity can crumble when the reality of wealth meets the reality of business. Blake and Ryan spent a decade building a version of perfection that the world was more than happy to buy into, but the moment the public sensed a lack of integrity, the spell was broken. Whether they eventually settle the debt or not, the image of the effortless Hollywood couple is gone, replaced by a much more complicated story of ego, isolation, and the high cost of building a private kingdom away from the world.